दोस्तों, हम इंडियंस को जो सबसे ज़्यादा पसंद आता है वो है फ़ॉरेन। फिर चाहे वो घूमने के लिए हो या फिर पढ़ने के लिए। आज के हम इस एपिसोड में एक ऐसे ही शख्स से बात करेंगे जिन्होंने अपनी बैचलर्स इंडिया से कंप्लीट करी और अब वो अपनी मास्टर्स यूएस से कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं। नमस्कार दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है हर्षवर्धन और आप देख रहे हैं एक ड्रीम।
Hello, Mr. Anas. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good too. आप हमारी ऑडियंस को बताइए कि आपने अपनी ग्रेजुएशन कहाँ से करी और अभी आप क्या कर रहे हैं?
So I completed my bachelor's from Maharaja Agarsen Institute of Technology in 2019, and I did it in electrical and electronics. But my area of interest was in electronics and hardware specifically. After I graduated from my bachelor's, I came to US for my master's in computer system engineering. So my program was fairly new, but its concentration was in Internet of Things. So basically, the program teaches how to build a full-fledged IoT system from the sensors to working on clouds and etc. But then again, I wanted to go in hardware. So right now, I'm working in firmware. I did my 4 months internship in Intel as a power firmware engineer, where I was working on writing a power code. It basically power code is a part of the server codes, which controls how much power every core of the processor gets. Like we have multi-core processors, so how much power each core gets, because throughout the time when a processor is working, not every core is going to require the same amount of energy. Some part of the core is working more, so it needs more energy, more power, and some are not active. So we don't want to apply unnecessary amount of power because it will then just waste the energy. So the power core is just manages all the energy throughout the processor. And I will be graduating from my master's in August, and I will join Intel at full time because my internship was converted to full time.
Okay, thank you, Anas, for this brief introduction about your program, and that's all. So, आप हमें बताइए कि आपने जो है इंडिया से आपने अपना बैचलर करा, फिर आप यूएस गए। तो इंडिया से यूएस का जो सफ़र था, उसमें कितनी मुश्किलें आई? आपने कैसे क्या किस टेस्ट के लिए प्रिपरेशन करी थी? आपका क्या स्कोर था उसमें? और यूनिवर्सिटीज़ कैसे शॉर्टलिस्ट करी थी?
So the major source of information was, of course, the internet. In US, the system is fairly common among all the universities. They will ask for a GRE as general test. Then they will ask for a TOEFL or IELTS, now, which basically tests your English speaking, reading, writing, and listening proficiency. How good are you at English? Because the method of instruction and how the professor communicates with you will be in English. And then you have to submit a few more documents like the statement of purpose, like why do you want to join this university, this specific program. Then you have letter of recommendations from either the teachers for those who don't have any work experience, such as me, or if you are going with work experience, then it should be some manager who can explain how well you work and how what kind of behavior you have with peers and uh, your colleagues. So these were the major documents. In the end, it basically comes to the kind of course you want to do. The more competitive the course gets, the more they will look forward. So if I'm competing with someone who has research papers and work experience, he will be preferred for that. But since my course, the one which I'm doing right now, was fairly new, so it was fairly new, so the competition was not very high. Since embedded system is an emerging field right now, and not a lot of people are going into it, so it was not very difficult. So my GRE score was 310. It's not very ideal score. Especially if you are considering computer science and you want to get into a good university, your score should be around 330 to be on the safer side.
Okay, Anas. So tell me, how much money did you invest in for your GRE, and did you also appear for the IELTS or TOEFL?
Now, you see, IELTS and TOEFL are basically the same thing. It's that both of them are testing your English proficiency. The only difference is that in TOEFL, everything is done through a computer, but in IELTS, you will sit in front of a real person, and you will talk to them like we are having a conversation. So uh, now, if somebody is considering Canada as an option, then they should know that Canada does not accept TOEFL. They only take IELTS. So if someone is considering to apply both in US and Canada, then I think they would opt for IELTS, because then if they give TOEFL, then they will have to give IELTS again, which is of course a little waste of money. So as far as money is concerned, I did my preparation on my own. I bought a few books online, and everything was done by myself. And I did not take any coaching or something. That's again waste of money, because the process of GR is fairly simple. The pattern is well defined, and if you want guidance, there are so many resources on internet that going to a coaching is, I think, unnecessary. After you get the score, unlike in India, what we have is like all the universities will come up and we can select the universities. It's like a common platform for all the universities, like the JEE mains. But
Yeah,
in
exactly.
US, you have to independently apply to each university. So you have to send a score. Now you cannot send the score on your own. You need to ask the IETS, ETS, which conducts the exam, to send the score on your behalf to that university. So GRE and TOEFL, you have three or four universities are free, that you can send these universities to, you can send the score to these universities free of cost. But if you go beyond that, you have to pay a small amount of fees. I think it's like $25 or $30. You have to pay that fees for the ETS to send the score to that university. And it is important that the score should reach before the application deadline closes. Now, talking about, you asked how I filter out the colleges.
Filtrad,
The
yes.
the best option is to look at the courses, because if a college is very good, you have heard a lot about it and it's reputed, doesn't mean that the program in which you are applying is has a potential. Because sometimes the universities are famous for their computer system, but not their let's say electrical engineering or mechanical engineering. So important that you go through the courses. I think that is the best way to figure out which university you want to apply. What I did was I categorized my university selection into three parts. One was ambitious, in which there was only 20-30% chances of getting in. Second was moderate, in which there was 50% chances, and then there was safe, in which there was 100% chance that I will get an admission. So I applied for two safe, three moderate, and two ambitious. And I got two admits. I got three admits, two from two moderates and one safe. And I did not wait for the last safe. So I took the Northeastern University, which is, of course, because it's in Boston, and Boston is considered to be a pioneer or emerging sector in embedded systems and biotech, not both. Uh, Also, when people are considering which university they want to get in, it is also important to see the cost of living, because Boston is very expensive. The taxes are here also are very high. Like I pay when I was doing my co-op, I paid a good amount of money in taxes. So and the rent is also expensive. Like if you go to I got admission from Northeastern University. It is in Boston, and there was sunny Buffalo, which is in Buffalo. It's a small city in upstate New York, towards the Canada border. So in Boston, a 2-bedroom apartment will be like for $2,000 or $22,000. But in Buffalo, you can get a 2-bedroom apartment for like 800 or 600. So the cost of living in Buffalo is very cheap. Plus the Buffalo University is a government sponsor, so the fees was also low. But Buffalo is not a very, you can say, engaging city from a point of jobs. So I took Boston. Yeah, so basically these are the 5 points you have to consider when we are choosing university. Check for the courses, check for the city, and city and cost of living as a important part, because like you are spending money for 2 years. So if you go to an expensive city, you are spending a lot of money. So a lot of people ignore this, but I think it is important to see which city you live in, because overall our target is to spend less on the education and earn as much as we can, because like a lot of people will take loans and repaying them is also.
Yeah. My next point is regarding the fees, the institution fees. Do they provide any kind of financial aid or the scholarship like we do get here from the government, like government scholarship and like some financial aid? Do they provide for the international students or not?
It depends on university to university. So if you are going into a state-sponsored university or a government-sponsored university, they will. But again, it depends on the profile. The better the profile, the higher the aid will be. Then you can apply as a TA or do an on-campus job. But then again, there are restrictions on working. Like for international students, you can only work on-campus jobs, like things or stores or facilities which are directly associated with the university. Those are called on-campus jobs, and everything rest is considered off-campus. So as international students, we cannot work off-campus. We can only work on campus, and that is only for 20 hours a week. So most of the students will try to get into a TA or an RA, because then it takes care of their fees, or at least for the monthly expenses.
Okay, so suppose if one has cleared the GRE exam and also got an admission from a foreign university, so next step comes is the migration process. Then how long does it take a student to migrate from here, from India to US, or from from India to Canada? And what's the process like, the visa kind of things?
So I will tell about US. After you get an admit and you accept it, they will send a document which is called I-20. So now the I-20 is basically it tells about your visa status, your university, your program, and the I-20 will also mention how much money you need to show. Like as a general term, every university expects you to show enough funds for 1 year plus the living expenses. So whatever the cost will be total, you have to show. And to be on the safer side, it is better to keep a little higher than that. Like whatever the cost was on I-20 plus a little higher, to make sure to convince the people that okay, you have the necessary funds and you can survive for
Then
at
what
least
must
a year.
must be the threshold amount the one
Again,
can expect in their account?
it depends on university to university. Like
What
as
was
I
in your case?
Mine was for $50,000, but I was able to, yeah, I mean, I showed around more than that, but I did not actually spend that kind of money, because my internship took care of one semester fees, which was around 13,000. So this is like they ask for at least 1 year, because by the end of first year, a lot of students get into co-ops and internships, and it takes care of their good amount of fees for the university. On the top that it is now the I-20. After you get the I-20, you have to apply for a service, which is like a identification number for the international students. and the service has their own fees. You have to pay for that. Then after you have done that, then you apply for a visa. And in the visa, they will ask for the I-20, they for the service fees, and it depends whether the interviewer, the visa officer, would like to have a look at your bank, the funds or not. Like it's not you can say company, but it depends on visa officer to visa officer. Some don't want to see it, some prefer to see it. So it's better to keep the document ready. On the top of that, when we're talking about funds, the university or the visa office will prefer to see the liquid funds. Now, when I say liquid, I mean cash or the money which can be taken out at any time, like the provident funds or the bank loan or the money, the cash you have in your account. And you should not show the property papers like I have this much amount of property, because property always fluctuates, and it takes time to sell and then get the money. So we don't call it liquid funds. And the same case with the jewelries. The jewelries are not considered to be liquid funds. So when you are applying for the visa, so and you want to keep some financial documents, I will talk about keeping the bank records, the loan sanction letter. It also works, which says that okay, for this particular candidate we have agreed to pay sanction a loan of this amount. And then the GPF, the general provident funds, which also known as like the retirement funds which people get. So these are the documents, and once you apply for the visa and the visa officer approves your visa, they will keep your passport and they will call you after a few days with a stamping and everything. Once you get the visa, then you can start the process of booking the tickets and coming to US.
Okay, so now the student has migrated from India to the US, and what can he expect? The difference between the Indian education system and the foreign education system, is there any visible kind of change that can be visualized by each and everyone?
Yes, so the US system of education is very different from what we see in India. India, it's more theoretical. You learn a topic, then you just go and write about it in the papers. Like it will ask what is XYZ phenomena or what is the XYZ principle, explain it and then write it. That's how we get. But in US, 80% of your work will be application based. They will teach you about a particular topic or a system or function, and in exam they will, or in assignments they will ask you questions based on the implementation. Like if I'm using this function, then what will happen? If I'm using this phenomena, then explain this or how it will change. So expect application based questions and not directly theoretical. They might some courses are like completely code based, like the one which I'm doing, connected devices. It's basically creating an IoT based system from the sensors to the cloud, like sensor data. Then the gateway device uploads it on the cloud. It takes necessary action, and then it sends a signal to the actuators to perform specific action. So the entire course is code based. So I'm working on Python and Java. So, and in this subject, there is no final exam, but they will test you on your final project. So, like we had final projects only in the last semester, but here every course has a final project, and it holds good amount of percentage, like 25% or 30% of the total grades. So that is the case. Plus, copying here is considered to be a very big deal. So every time you submit an assignment, it goes through a plagiarism checker, and if there is a plagiarism more than let's say 40% or 50%, then there is a disciplinary committee that sits and reviews your assignment, see how much you have copied, and if you have copied, then you will be in trouble, and the person you copied from will also be in trouble. So
Okay.
that's a big difference. No copying here.
Okay, so at the end, what matters is the placement, like the job and the amount of money that you have in your pocket or in your account. So, what's the placement scenario in the US? Like, is it the same as the as here in the India? The like the companies come into the college and they recruit, or the in the US it is something different?
No, in US it's more like off-campus placements. Like you apply for you apply to companies and they will contact, and then the interview is conducted. So it's nothing like India. No one comes to your campus. Like that only happens in few universities, only on few occasions. And also, it's not like they will hire anyone or everyone. Like Infosys came and they were hiring from computer
Yeah,
science, electrical and
mass
mechanical.
recruitment is not allowed.
Mass recruitment is not, because like only 5 or 6 positions will open, and anyone can apply to that all across US. So in the end, the name of the college doesn't matter unless and until you are from some Ivy League college. What matters will be how much you know about the subject, how much can you work on it, and if you are ready to learn and invest your time in it. So that's why I said that when selecting a college, it is important to see what courses they are offering, and not just the name. Because if the university the course is targeting good areas in your area of interest, or its target, the courses are good and they are covering basic to advanced level of knowledge, then I'd say that even if the university is not very famous, you should opt for that, because in the end, they will look at your projects, they will look at how much you have done and how much you have scored, the kind of courses that you took. Because in India, the courses were already chosen for us, and we had to do the courses which the department decided. But in US, you can choose any course which you like. Of course, if it's outside your pre-approved curriculum, you have to submit a petition that I want to take this course from a different branch. So, like if your reason is good, like 90% of the time they will approve it. You can take the course from a different branch also.
Okay, Anu. So at the end, let us summarize it as you did your bachelor from the Maharaja Agresyan Institute of Technology,
Yeah,
and you did your master's from
Northeastern University in computer
Boston.
system in, yeah, from Boston campus. And summarizing everything, if you are focusing on US, which is of course the biggest job market right now for tech jobs, like Canada doesn't have that many jobs in tech. But if you are targeting US, then you should apply for GRE and TOEFL as soon as you can. I'd say you should be, if you are applying for these exams, then you should be by June or July, because most of the universities start their application in August and it goes till January. And by the end of, let's say, February or March of the next year, they start giving out admits, and then you have to apply for visa. Visa sometimes also takes a lot of time, because most like a lot of people are applying for them, and your visa interview might not be scheduled very soon, so it can take like 2 months, sometimes 3 months. And sometimes for some reason the officer rejects your visa, so you have to apply for it all over again. So for that you need to keep some time for yourself. So I'd say it will be like if you are applying for fall 2022, which is like next year, you should apply for the GRE TOEFL around right now, so that you can get it done by, let's say, end of May or June. And then the result will come in like 1.5 months, and the application process will start in August, and they will give you the admits or rejects by next year, February, March. Then you have to apply for visa, and you have to be in US before the university starts, which most of the cases is in September. September, a lot of universities start. So let's say you have to be here by mid-August. So I think this will be the correct time to start applying for everything.
Okay, thank you so much, Anas, for your precious amount of time. It's been a nice talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.